Hello there, my name's Vince from My Mate Vince, and in this video today we're going to be looking at this Apple MacBook Pro. The model number is A1708 EMC3164 and it belongs to my niece. It hasn't been used in quite a few years. She now wants to get some data off here. She went to turn it on, it's not working. I thought it was going to be a flat battery because my brother brought it round, and I asked him was it working years ago before it was put away, and he says he thinks it was. But you know, 3 years or so, it's a long time, and maybe things have been forgotten. I've plugged this in here and it's completely dead. Doesn't matter which USB-C port I use, there's nothing happening at all. I've left it plugged in for an hour in the hope that some power might go into it. Nothing's happening. I've held down the power button for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 30 seconds. Nothing's happening. Nothing's clicking. It is completely and utterly dead. So initially I thought it might be just a battery problem. Now I'm thinking it was probably put away because a fault had occurred on it, because even if it's a battery problem, why is it not attempting to power on? So let's take the back off. What I might do to begin with is take the battery off, then plug it in and see if we have anything, just in case the battery's putting some sort of weird short on it, but I don't think so. I'm thinking there is actually going to be a problem with the logic board itself, but hopefully it might be fun. Let's get started. Right, there's screws around the back here, and I believe they're little star ones. I think they're called pentalobe or pentalope. So I'm looking for something with a P on it. I think they're down here. P5. Now I was going to say this has never been opened before, but yet that screw, these screws are so loose, but I don't think she would have taken it to a repair shop. So it looks like it's a P5 that's needed. Also, I'm going to unleash these. Stick it on here and help put it up, because I think there's a couple of connectors just on the edge here. So these are little suckers. Like that, okay. So I undo the screws, struggle with the back for a bit, and then I have to kind of like lift it and put it towards me at the same time, because there's the way it's catched at the back, you can't just lift it up, it has to go towards you. Anyway, let's take the back off and see what it uncovers inside. Oh, no, there we go. Okay, so you just put it forward a bit. I think it's just held in from the amount of dust. Look at that. There's a serious amount of dust and dirt in there. Right, so I think we can safely say this hasn't been apart before. I'm just going to get the... No, if I get a vacuum cleaner, I'm going to get told off, because people will talk about static and stuff. I'm just having a quick visual inspection to see if there's anything look bad. And initially, I don't think it does. But it's kind of hard to see through all the crumbs and everything. Right, let's try to take the battery off, which is going to be under here. I think, is that the battery? No, battery is going up. That's the touchpad. The battery's going to this board. Maybe I have to undo this one here. Well, that's a Torx 5. Oh, there you go, that must be it. Right, what I would say now that the battery is disconnected, I think. Also, the rubber's starting to break down around here. It's getting all, this has got all sticky, and it's leaving like a residue along here. Let's see now if anything is going to happen when I plug it in with the battery disconnected. So here we go, plugging it in now. So there's still nothing there. So I don't think it's a battery problem. Right, okay. I wonder, can you measure these batteries by going on those points there or not? I'll try, just to see. I'm not sure if there's some like weird enable pin or something that only gives you the battery voltage when that pin allows it to do so. But let's see. I'm on volts DC. I don't want to bend this back too much, but I can see a point here and here. Doesn't appear to be anything there, but you know what? They might be both. They might be both grounds. It might be other pins. Right. Okay. Let's see what's what. So the power's coming in over here. I think I'm going to have to take this board out because there might be some sort of damage on the other side. So that is what I do. I would say that it's an enjoyable process, but it's not, because there's so many what I would call kind of Lego connectors. Don't mind them so much, but there's ribbon cables where you have to lift the flap up, pull the ribbon cable out, close the flap down again because they're easy to knock and then knock them off. It's fiddly and there's not a lot of room to work. Also, when you're not used to working with something, it's always harder. When you see other people working on MacBooks who do it for a living, they kind of know every single connector to undo and how much force to use. But when you're doing something delicate like this and you don't do it often, I have done MacBooks in the past, but they were years ago. In fact, my son's and daughter's MacBook are ones that I fixed in videos, and they're still working now, which is great because they're a lot cheaper than, you know, buying brand new ones, so you feel like you're getting a bit of a bargain sometimes. But yeah, I'm being as careful as I can, and I need to take the board out. When we take the board out, it will give me access to the other side, and visually we might see something wrong with it, because although this is covered in crumbs and dust, it doesn't actually, I can't see any obvious burnt components. I think it's just like the rubber and dirt holding it in here. Oh my word. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Look at that. Right, okay. Let's put this to one side. I'm going to have to... I'll be able to hoover this now, you see, because there's going to be no static on that. It would be fine anyway. I think that's just mostly older electronics. Look at these ports here. Maybe there's nothing wrong with the board. Maybe the problem is these ports here. They do not look healthy at all, do they? Let's have a look on this side. Oh, is that burning there? See, I think they'd still make a contact. Let's just have a quick visual inspection on this side. See if we can see. So these are the two chips responsible for both ports. Like one chip for one port, another chip for another port. It's amazing because the outside of the MacBook is in good condition, you know. It just shows you that the dust does get in here. And this is just from use, you know, this is just a well-used laptop. Well, immediately I can't see anything wrong. There should be a fuse somewhere, but I don't know where the fuse is. Would that be it, the little white one? I bet you that's it, with the blue dot on it. Let's see if that fuse has continuity through it. Yes, let's see if we got a short to ground. No. I think I'm going to start with cleaning up these, because they do not look healthy. So, isopropyl alcohol to the rescue. I'm going to put some gloves on. 99.9%. Hopefully this can work its magic. So maybe this was being carried in a bag, and then the bag got wet. You know, if you're carrying things in the rain and stuff, it could have been upright in the bag. Maybe water got in and you know, sat on it. Maybe if there was dust and crumbs and stuff, and water got in there, it was hard for the water to evaporate off because it's kind of ended up in a crusty cake. Or it might be nothing to do with that at all. Don't even know how you would replace these things, are they? Not even sure if they clip in. I seem to remember on my daughter's MacBook that was the problem on her one as well. Oh, look, that's coming off. Okay. Should still charge from the other one though. I'll have to see if these are modular, whether they just unplug or not. Okay, so a little the rubber covers come off. That's good actually. We'll put that on afterwards. Let's get rid of that. I'm going to brush in line with them, not across. I've got to remember not to use this one. Also, I don't want that shorting, because if that was a data and it went against, for example, a power, it's off now anyway. Okay. Oh, is that it there? Is there just a little tiny bit of metal underneath that it attaches to? No? What happens there? Do you know what? I still might charge without that anyway, because that might be for transferring data, or for you know, if you wanted to connect it to a TV. Right, I wonder now if I was to plug it in, would it draw something even though there's nothing at... Oh no, my IPA's just gone. Ah, I did that in slow motion as if I meant to do it. It's been a while. Okay, as I was saying, I wonder if I plug it in now, will I get something? Because that pin's missing, so it shouldn't be shorting on anything. I wonder, am I going to get some sort of draw? Yes, there we go. Fantastic. Okay, and I'm going to try this way around. Hope this doesn't break it now. Then we'll try the one with the missing pin. Yes. Got it there as well. And now let's do, is this the missing pin one? Yeah. No. Let's try it this way around. No. But that's fine, because you can use the bottom one. I reckon it's going to work just fine on the bottom one. Yeah. So it was just looks like it was just gunked up. I think I'm just going to see if you can buy these, because they do look like they're modular. Not sure if they're soldered in or what. Just going to Google that. That's interesting. I've looked on eBay and yeah, you can get them. This is Laptop Experts. Also seen them on AliExpress for less money, but this is from the UK. And that's what it looks like on the top, this bit here. And look underneath, there's a load of little balls. It's kind of like a ball grid array. I've never seen that before. So what you'd have to do is you'd have to heat it up, lift it off, and then put the new one on. I presume it comes with those balls already on there, unless they're tiny little pins and there's tiny little holes here. Either way, there's a risk, isn't there? I think this is going to work fine, fingers crossed, on this bottom one here. I think it was just all gunked up. Also, do you remember there was a little bit of burn in here? Let me zoom in. The reason the pins come off isn't because of my brushing, it's because that's where the burn was. So if you look there, can you see this is where it's burnt? Yeah, and that's where the pin's missing, and you can see that this pin looks like it wants to come out as well. So this whole area here is burnt. So I think there's quite a high chance that when that burnt, I think it probably took out one of these controller chips here. So even if I was to put a new one on, I then think it may well need that. She wants to get data off here. That's the goal. I think they still have a resale value. I think they're still worth a couple of £100. Do you know what I'm going to do? Let me check on CEX what you actually sell them to them for, because it's often not worth seeing the eBay prices unless you go to sold listings. So let me see what it would be worth somebody handing it into CEX. I think what I'm going to do is, which is the lazy way out, but she wants to get her data back. That was the objective. So I'm going to clean it up, put it back together, see if it's going to work on this, which I think it will, because now hopefully the battery will charge, and then she can get her data off. And then maybe I could possibly get it back from her and buy a new one of these, and then if it doesn't fix it, maybe I can do a bit more fault finding. Maybe there's something en route between here and here that's gone. Chances are I'd say maybe one of these has gone if this is burnt here, or maybe a new one of these will fix it. But either way, that's all too high risk for the sake of her wanting her data. So in this video, I'm just going to be putting it back together, and then hopefully it will work. And then you may or may not see it again at a later stage if she wants to get this repaired here. If there is a resale value, if the resale value is £50, it's really not worth it, is it? Unless I'm going to make a a nice video out of it, it's not worth the time. But if it's 100 and something quid, it is worth the time. Well, that's quite a nice, pleasant surprise. If you want to get it from CEX, they're offering a 5-year warranty now, £260 to buy, but you can cash it in with them for £143, or you get a voucher, £174, which will allow you to buy other things. So I think it's well worth fixing for £143. Maybe be best to get that off AliExpress for less money, and then you might be able to possibly get it fixed up for £10 plus whatever one of these chips is going to cost. If that's faulty, it could well just be the burn in here, but I'm wondering if something then shorted out further along in. Anyway, I am going to clean this up. So I'm going to get a brush, clean this down, and let's put it back together and see if it's working. So I get my little flux brush and I give everything a nice good sweep down, and it gets rid of all the crumbs and the dust from the circuit board. It looks really nice by the time I finish. It looks so much better. And when it comes to the case, I do give that a vacuum and I wet wipe it everywhere. Also, I try to get rid of all that rubber staining. Unfortunately, the rubber's breaking down because that's just what rubber does after all these years. Nice when it's new because you can close it and it's not metal against metal. But now it's got to the stage where the rubber's just weeping, so it's kind of sticking shut. And then when you go to open, it's leaving black rubber residue. So I don't really think there's much way of getting around that. The rubber is leaking its oils, and yeah, it's just to do with age. So I am doing that, as you can see now. I will shout out my mate Vince Massive because it's been a while, so apologies for that. The massive members this month are Keemon Services, Kip Hakes on YouTube, Max Rokotansky, Chris Seal, Felipe at MrKeeves.com, DJ VG, Pigsy, Russ Melanson, Rickard Bergland, Shamza Al Sawadi, Stuart Park, Stephen from The Broken Past on YouTube, Lee Benz, AJ Computer Services UK, Chris Bayans, Victor B, and Garen Shaw. So a massive thanks to each and every one of you. Again, apologies for the lack of videos, so I know you haven't had your name called out much. Again, if you cancel, you'll still get your money's worth because I will continue to read out your name even if you cancel, because I'm well aware that I've done no videos throughout January, or I did one video out throughout January. So yeah, don't worry, don't feel that you have to keep subscribing to get your name read out. I'm not very strict. I'll keep you reading your name out for a few months anyway. Yeah, so yeah, that is it. Let's get this thing back together. I'm putting it fully back together because obviously that's how we roll on this channel. And then we can plug it in and see now if the battery is charging. Okay, right, let's leave the back off, plug it in and see if the fan will start spinning or we get anything out of it. I'm going to start on the, can't remember which one, shall I try the bottom one? So it's not the bottom one. What? What? Don't do that to me. What?
Ha ha.
What's going on? Let me try plugging this in just in case that's a little bit short or something. I think I remembered why I stopped doing MacBooks. I'm wondering if it's not going on enough, you know, if they're worn ever so slightly. Oh no, I've got to undo everything again, everything. And it all went back together. It went back together well as well. I can't believe that. Why are you not? It was happy, wasn't it, when it was out, but it's not happy when it's in. Or is something connected to it stopping it from working? Well, the very second we plugged it in before it worked, so the fact it's not doing anything now means it's the same as it was before. Right, okay, let me take it apart again. Yes, after I put it all back together, but at least I didn't put the back cover on, so I didn't put it fully back together. I now need to take it all out again and see what's happening, because beforehand, as soon as we plugged it in, it worked. But now it's not. Is it something connected to it, or is it something else? So I'm going to see if it works when we have most things disconnected, and then we know that there's, for example, a trackpad is knocking it out, because maybe it's when something's connected to the board that it's not working. I think it's something to do with the length where it goes through the body, that this can't go in quite far enough. Maybe they've all worn at the very edge. Right, let's try it now with all those unplugged. So it's still showing no signs of life. So let's get the board out again, plug it in and see if it works. Because maybe the board now has just stopped working and it just so happened to work beforehand. Right, let's see now. Is it going to work in my hands? Yes. So it's the bottom one. I need to remember that. So why is the bottom one not working when it's in? I think it's because it needs to be all the way in. So let's just put it in partially. I think that's the problem. I think when it's in, it's only going to there when it needs to go all the way to there. How can I fix that? How can I make sure that that's through? So I need to remember it's the bottom one that's working. How am I going to get that to work in here? I mean, this is smooth there. Is it these rubber bits which is causing it not to go all the way in? I try to force it in as much as I can. Beforehand I was concentrating on all the ribbon cables everywhere. Right. So I'm forcing it right the way over. No, you've got to force it right in. Okay, that's a bit strange. Has it physically worn? I think I'm going to have to take off the rubber bits. Also, do you know what's not helping? I think there's still dirt caught in these. So I'm actually going to use the tweezers on them to clean them out. Ah, do you know what? There is a little lip just in here, and look at all that dirt that's just come out there. Can you see that like biscuity stuff again? If you have a look here, there is a lip. So if the lip had gunk on, which it did, see there's a lip just here? Hopefully you'll be able to hear it hitting. So watch this. There. Yeah? So look, you can't see, but there's actually, I can see with my eyes that there's bits coming out on the lip. Let me see if I can, if you look closely here where my thumb is. Well, in fact, you can see it there now. On my, you see it go down there. So that stuff has blocked up that, which is stopping the USB port from going all the way in. I'm wondering now, I mean, it needed a clean, but I'm wondering at the very beginning, if I had just got my brush here and went like crazy in here, I think maybe it might have worked. I think it was the fact that USB port wasn't, the USB wasn't going in, the male wasn't going in far enough to grip, well I suppose the female really, to grip onto the male here. Yeah, look at all that there. That's what's come out. That's just some of it that's come out. The rest has gone down into here. Right. Yeah, there's loads of it. Oh, here. I mean, it needed cleaning anyway, but I now think that was the problem. I think that's going to be able to go in there now. Give it a good old blow. Let's see if that's going to go in further, because now it's going to go further into here. It's going to go right the way up to that lip, you see. Watch. Can you see now? So it's allowed to push in further. Right, let's see now. I've just got a little bit of pressure here. Is it going to go? Yes. That was it. That was it. Now let's put a couple of screws in and see if it will still go. I don't think this needed to come apart at all, but it's nicer that it has come apart to be cleaned. I love actually working out what the issue is. Even though I haven't fixed that port, I like knowing now what the problem was. And I think loads of people would have that problem. And maybe ports are getting changed out unnecessarily, when I think if they just got something and went in there and gave it a good clean, then I think that might fix some of the problems. I still don't know if it's fixed though. Well, I just want to plug it in again, see if it's still behaving. Yes.
Well, I wasn't expecting that. I convinced myself it was going to be a problem with the logic board, and then I convinced myself it was going to be the dirty USB ports. But it was the dirty ports, but it was on the actual case itself rather than the ports. But the ports was still corroded, so there is a chance maybe they might not be making a good connection. While now they're much better because of the isopropyl alcohol. Still far from new, but they appear to at least be accepting the charge. When I say they, I mean one of them. The other one is burnt and would need to be replaced. But like I said earlier, if my niece can get the data off here, then I could always order one of these up and try to put a new one on. And if I fail, at least she's got her data off here, which is the most important thing. Anyway, I put this back together. It does come up with the charging symbol on screen. Let me come back to this video in the other room when it's fully back together, when I've got some charge into the laptop, because the battery was at 0%.
Right, so you can see it's still charging now. It then it came up with the lock screen with my niece's name and stuff up there, and then all I did is I was wondering, I wonder does the trackpad here click when I go in, when I tap it and stuff, and I was listening out for the click, and then all of a sudden it came alive. As in, I didn't put in a password. I haven't got the password. It came alive and it starts playing a YouTube video about lucid dreams and nightmares. So that's weird. And the date is from May sometime. But the battery was only 1%. And then it went dead again. So I think I just need to leave it for a good 45 minutes or so to get some charge into the battery. Right, it's about 45 minutes later. I went to turn it on, and again, it's on this here. So this is it. And if I was to press play, it's still going to play. I'm going to get a copyright strike, so I'm only going to play it for a second. And pause. So that's working. I can hear that sounds coming out as well, although it is quite quiet. There we go. Now, I unplugged this and plugged it back in, and both times it was saying 20 volts. So I don't know what was going on earlier, but right now this is working whether I put it in either way. So right now it's at 19 volts here, and if I go up to the top, we've now got it to, I think it was 29? 30, so we're now at 30% on the battery. If I unplug this and plug it in the other way around, it will still come up. In fact, you heard it there. It will still come up as 20 volts. So I don't know what was going on earlier, but it looks like this port is okay. But when I use this, it is a little bit weak. If I wobble this now, it will come out. But when I plug this straight in, it seems to be happier. So there you go, you can hear it beeping there. And we're now up to 31%. It does take a few seconds before it will actually start charging. There you go. So it just says it's plugged in, but then it takes about another 5 seconds after that before it starts charging. So yeah, that is it. I'm not messing around with it because it's not my laptop, and there might be private stuff on here that I don't want to see. So I'm going to let my brother know it's fixed, and hopefully he can give it back to his daughter, my niece, and then all she needs to remember is not to use this top one here. In fact, what I'll probably do, nothing happens when I plug it in this top one, I'll probably get a little bit of sticky tape, a bit of electrician's tape, and just put it over that top one there. And then if she wants to have it fixed properly, I'm thinking now maybe this top port might have been faulty for a while. She might have been just using the bottom port. So the only issue here, I think if I got a brush at the very beginning and vigorously cleaned in here, I think it would have worked fine. I know it's much better now because it's much cleaner on the inside than it was before, and the pins were dirty, so it was good that I cleaned them with IPA, and when it's not in here it's much easier to clean them. But I think the whole problem was that this wasn't being inserted in far enough, the exact same as if I'm just going to put it in this much here. It's not charging now. Yeah, so the crud, because the crud was about 1 or 2 mil, that's as far as it was plugged in. Bear with me. But then when I plug it in all the way, it will start charging. So there we go, not the most interesting of videos, but I think possibly helpful, because I think lots of people are going to have that problem in there. Think about it, they're going to be carrying it in rucksacks, in bags and stuff like that. And then you might throw a sandwich in there, and then that might break open. You might get crumbs in there, you might have biscuits, cookies, etc. I think there must be loads of these out there that have those ports quite full. I had it on a phone years ago and it was full of lint. Then when I cleaned the lint out, I cut, like a lemonade bottle, I cut a bit of plastic off that, or a milk carton or something, and then made it into a little little hook, and I scraped out all the lint and it worked. But it was the same thing. The port wasn't going in, the charger wasn't going in far enough. So although it's not very interesting, I think it is actually probably quite a common problem. The most interesting thing for me is why it's not locked, unless she's got rid of the password, but I don't think so, because I've seen the name at the beginning when it was first of all turned on. But for me isn't it amazing after all these years that the buffered bit of YouTube, it's remembered it. So even though the battery was at like 0% and was probably 0% for years, it still managed to remember this, which is really, really odd. And if I go to the date, you can see it's not the correct one. Sorry, I can't go on that because it was something private, but it's saying Wednesday the 15th of May at 2:32. And today is February the 4th, and it's 6:30. So obviously when this connects to the internet, it will update the time. So yeah, this has remembered it from all that time ago, which is interesting. Well, there we go. You may see this again in the future. It might be quite interesting trying to resolder that, but I don't want to risk breaking it now if she's got important stuff on here that she needs to get. So I fulfilled my brief, which was fixing it enough to try to get the data back off it, which is fantastic. If you enjoyed the video, give it a big thumbs up, and I will see you all very soon. Thank you so much for watching.
Appalachian sunrise meets my skin. Even with my eyes still closed, I can feel it coming in. Golden, golden, I'll follow only golden, 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 golden things. Mountain laurel high fives for miles in spring. Rainbow trout and a hummingbird wing. Golden, I'll follow only golden. Golden, golden things. Gold hair.